I think I'm supposed to count to 5 in case we swear on air. Good evening, everyone. This is the Lunenburg Board of Assessors meeting of March 4th. It is 6:31. I'll call the meeting to order. In accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast live over the Lunenburg Public Access channel on Facebook Live on the Public Access Facebook page. https://www.facebook.com/lunenburg-public-access-cable-157-427-270-975-305/. The recording can be found on the Lunenburg Access YouTube channel after the meeting. This meeting will be held in person this is the Bellata Room in Town Hall. Members of the public are welcome to attend this in-person meeting. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is provided as a courtesy to the public, the meeting will not be suspended or terminated if technological problems interrupt the virtual broadcast unless otherwise required by law. Members of the public with particular interest in any specific item on this agenda should make plans for in-person versus virtual attendance accordingly. For remote participation from a computer, please use the link that I will read for public meeting webinar, https://us02web.zoom.us/meeting/t, capital Z, lowercase c, capital O, capital C, lowercase sq, capital T, lowercase os. This is longer than hell. Sorry, capital T, lowercase os, capital H, capital N, lowercase e, capital S, capital W, lowercase f, 7e dash, lowercase bh, 2, lowercase l, capital S, lowercase yb, kd, capital R, 2, capital Q, capital O, lowercase t, capital O / ICS, question mark, ICS, capital T, OKEN, those were lower, equals 98, lowercase ty, ku, K was uppercase, U is lowercase. Sorry. Capital G, lowercase r, z, w, j, uppercase H, lowercase t, uppercase U, O, uppercase U, lowercase th, dash, uppercase er, lowercase pwq, uppercase by, underscore. Capital C, capital X, lowercase ejwtn, number 5, lowercase dgo, number 1, uppercase y, lowercase ryjj, uppercase vcu, lowercase e, uppercase ya, lowercase uk, uppercase h, the number 9, uppercase f, lowercase b, uppercase ml, I believe it's the lowercase l, 7l, lowercase, 0, ORH, or.
Wait. I think you just passed the test for the mental competency test for presidency.
Join the Zoom meeting at https://us02, that's 02, web.zoom.us/83179471663, or the meeting ID is just 831-7947-1163 from a telephone number. Dial the toll-free number 888-475-4499 and enter the webinar ID that we just read, which I'll read again. 831-7947-1663 #. If you have not registered with Zoom, you will be asked for your name and an email address. Note, no participant ID is needed, just press pound sign when asked. Telephone users may dial *9 to request to speak after joining the meeting. Computer and app users may use the raise hand feature to request to speak. The agenda lists all topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken up as a result of these discussions. Not all items may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up for discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. One of our members is participating via Zoom, so we will have to have a roll call vote, and what do you call it? Call to order. Please, what is it? Roll call what? Call it anything. Roll call, please. On Zoom?
John Rabbit.
I'm Brian LaFond.
Sarah Kammer.
Rena Sweezy.
Thank you. Opening comments from the board.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Rabbit.
Thank you, sir. Hey, just with regard to the telephone number.
Recording in progress.
The telephone number, the dial number, the web ID was 831-7947-1663 hash mark. You've missed the hash.
On the telephone, the webinar ID?
Yeah.
I thought I said pound sign. Okay.
Okay, maybe that's what it is. Never mind. In either case, I'm sure no one heard it, and by the way, it was a masterful job reading off that sequence. You bring as much.
I have obviously angered someone. Sorry. Your comments, Mr. Rabbit.
Mr. Chairman, I did, no, there's no comments. Forget it. Let's go.
Ms. Kammer.
No comment.
After all that, I do have one comment that I wanted to make. As most of you know, no one with experience in the assessing world has ever tried to provide this much transparency. The professionals vehemently suggested that we not try to do that. They said it would merely cause confusion and unnecessarily cause confusion, I'm sorry. Unfortunately, they were right. I think we still have to try, and we have to learn how to prepare better next time. This was a difficult process to try to make sure that the information was available, the information was accurate. Having said that, the assessed values by location on the PDF is correct. And that is all that's basically required by the Department of Revenue. We have, in fact, added the 22 sales so that you could figure out what the sales were as part of the disclosure process. That's really for taxpayers' convenience and reference. The hard copy books at the library, Eagle House, and Town Hall are all correct, as are the website PDFs. So some of the Excel, you will find there have been difficulties. I've repaired them as I've found them, or as someone pointed them out to me. It's been rather painful and time-consuming. None of our vendors are really prepared to present stuff to the public at this point, beyond the PDF documents that they have provided. In some cases, we had to add headers to columns so people could read it. I've made mistakes on years. Mea culpa. I corrected one today. We have the files up. We included the files for sales for 21, 22, and 23, so you can pick and choose, because in most neighborhoods, it's just going to be 22 sales, but for some neighborhoods, we reached back into 21 and into 23. I spent much of today trying to investigate and fix what I could. Basically have run out of time. I'm still trying to figure out why we have some differences on cards. We actually reached out to the Vision customer support, to ask why there are two differences. On the front of the card has one number, back of the card has another number. We're not sure why. We think we know which one is the overriding number, but we don't know why there are two different numbers. So, to be quite honest with you, this is less than satisfying to you as taxpayers. I apologize for that. We are really making an attempt to be as transparent as possible, and at this point, you have all the stuff you need. I'm trying to make it easier for you to read, and I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman? If I may
Hearing
say
something else from the board?
Yes, please, thank you. First of all, you're doing a Herculean piece of work. And the fact that you had specifically made sure that everybody understood this is preliminary stuff. It's as fresh as it's gonna get. And I think you're doing a great job with it. The fact that we have, how many cars do we have to change? We had to change almost a couple hundred cars just to fix them. And then you come back and now we're putting it into a different system. We're doing this in the run. This is not like we've had 10 years of stability or anything. I think you're doing a great job, and I sincerely appreciate it. And just to give me one more favor, don't ever try and read all those numbers again.
Oh.
Please, don't do that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just one other comment. You mentioned that we had to change the number of cards. That is the typical process as we go through it. Since we've opened up public disclosure, I actually would like to give an update from the interim principal assessor on how many we've updated so far.
Up until today, we had only 3 cards that had to be changed. Fixed. One was quite a big change. It was a condo, and they were taxed for the land. Condos don't get taxed for the land, so that correction was made. I checked every other condo in that complex, and that was the only one. It was some kind of a fluke. That was probably the biggest change. That was about $238,000. The rest were just a couple of minor changes, mostly on summer cottages. A couple that got missed. They were still called cottage bungalows, so they were changed to camps. And there was actually 2 people that called up about, one came in and somebody else had called, and those were corrected. And then I went through the list that I had from our personal property, and there were about 2 or 3 more that was still called cottage bungalows, so I corrected those minor changes, so.
So from the 5,500 parcels in town, we've had
About 10.
8 to 10?
8 to 10.
Corrections. Okay,
Corrections.
thank you.
Not bad.
I'm sorry, I sort of slid into part of the agenda. We are still on public comment, right?
Yes.
Are you on public comment, Mr. Rabbit?
And if I may, Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify, a couple hundred, those were corrections made by Vision during their 5-year revale.
Yep, which is part of the process.
Right.
Yes.
I would like to open it up to public comment from the public. We have nothing today? I'm deflated. Well, thank you. Someone is,
Oh, hang on.
up, there's a hand up?
I'm sorry, Mr. Passios, I did not see that.
Please identify yourself.
Yeah, Dave Passios, 56 Whiting Street.
Thank you.
My major comment was going to be exactly what Mr. Rabbit said to you a few minutes ago. This is an incredible amount of data to go through, and there are going to be errors. There's errors in everything that we do in town, the size of the spreadsheets that we have, and so on and so forth. And I think having as many eyes as possible on these documents, including the public, is going to help make them be even more accurate. So I applaud you for the direction you've taken. I know how much work it is, and thank you for that. One other just little quick note, that big long link that you read out earlier does not work. It's only this short one below. Thank you.
I was going to tell you later.
So it was the contact information that was given when I set up the Zoom. I apologize if it was just a long waste of time. Thank you for the feedback, though.
Yeah, you're almost required to read it anyway, so thank you.
Thank you. Any other comment from the public? Hearing none, we'll move right into the status report. I know, Rena, you've been really too busy to write up a status report. If you just want to give us a quick update on what you've been doing, other than what we just talked about.
Basically, this past week has been all about motor vehicle excise. People that got rid of cars, traded cars in. So I've been, the first day the motor vehicle excise tax bill's been out, we had a line out the door. I don't have this car anymore, I traded this car. And you have to get their paperwork and take them in a, what I've been doing is adjusting the tax bills as they bring them in, so then they go down and pay the adjusted amount. So it's just been a lot of hands-on, and it's been just a very busy week with motor vehicle excise. And that's really has taken up my entire week. So I apologize that some other things might have gotten pushed aside, but that's all.
Thanks. Thank you. Yes, it's yeoman work. We are supposed to approve minutes, lots of minutes. I don't think anybody's really sent any amendments up for the minutes yet. And I don't know, Mr. Rabbit, had you sent in any changes or fixes to the minutes?
No, I have read, I was not, unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, I have not been able to find the 29th, the 22nd, and the January the 8th. But I did review the February 12th, 31st, and the 5th, and they're fine. I know that she was looking for some comments highlighted in yellow, but it wasn't a big deal.
Well, I'm going to suggest that perhaps we just postpone that till next week and really put a focus on getting, next meeting, which is
The
2
12th.
weeks from now. Well, I don't want to do it on the 12th. That's the joint meeting with the select board.
Okay.
So I think we should do it 2 weeks from today and make a really concerted effort to get through all of the minutes. So any adjustments that you have, I'll make sure that you have copies, Mr. Rabbit, if you don't have copies. So just let me know which ones you're missing. I did not see anything from last week yet, though, from
I did not see anything
Danielle.
from last week.
So we're going to postpone this
I-
pile of minutes.
I think the 31st probably need the most addressing.
Yes. No,
Yeah.
we're canceling on the 31st, 29th.
The 29th, I have the dates on. Thank you. That one.
That was the one that was marked the 31st.
Yes, but should be
Yes,
the
that's
29th.
not, correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. Status of the 5-year reval public disclosure. I guess we just gave some of it.
Yeah, we've had a few phone calls, questions, not very, I was thinking it was going to be busy, people wanting, but I think having all the cards online has really helped, and the calls have been minimal, which I was surprised at, and the ones that we have, we've been able to, like the condo, we've been able to take care of right away, so
Okay.
I thought it was going to be a lot busier than it has been.
Thank you. One of the things that we have to do during the 5-year reval is we will be attending the classification hearing next week. But I think in anticipation of that, we could take a vote on whether we would support a single tax rate, which we've done historically in this community, versus multiple tax rates. The multiple tax rates would be one for commercial and one for residential. If we were to entertain commercial as a separate tax rate, we don't really have a large enough sample size, we don't really have a large enough population of commercial, what's the word I want?
We don't have,
Commercial what?
Well,
Parcels.
right. Actually, a commercial, I think you have the LA 4.
I was just looking at the, well,
And
that was going to bring my next question, but go ahead.
It's only like a 5% commercial,
Right.
and really, the state really doesn't like you to split a tax rate unless you have at least a 15 to 20% commercial base.
Right.
So that's why we always go with the single tax rate.
So, unless there's some other discussion, I would entertain a motion to support a single tax rate for our next fiscal year.
So moved.
I motion to make a single tax rate for the next fiscal year.
He so moved
He
it.
moved it, but didn't you need to make the motion?
He said.
Okay.
It's fine.
Great, I second
Either way, so Danielle, the motion was made by Mr. Rabbit and seconded by Ms. Cammer. Any further discussion on that? I don't think it's very controversial.
No.
All in favor? Aye. We have to all speak it.
John Rabbit, aye.
Sarah Cammer, aye.
Brian LaFont, aye. So we are unanimous, so we did that. The reason I was going to mention the LA4 is, you said, you gave me a copy of the LA4. I went to try to run a copy of the LA4 from the state, and it comes up blank.
It hasn't been filled in.
That
yet.
was my fear. You have to do it through Vision?
We have to, yes.
Okay. Can I get another copy of the LA4? Actually, could you share it with the rest of the board?
Sure.
Yeah, LA,
That will probably be something when, after these changes,
yep,
after this closure, any changes, that will be something when Becky comes out, that she and I will do the LA13, the growth report, the LA4. We'll put all that into Vision, and then you guys can
And
go in
that's-
and sign it.
after we close public disclosure.
Correct.
Okay. And then there'll be a summary of that information that will be brought to the joint meeting on the 12th for the classification hearing, so we'll have that information in front of us. And then, just for those of you who are interested, we do not set the tax rate. The state will set the tax rate after we've submitted all the information and they've approved it. So, I don't know what that date will be, but I'm sure it's going to be during the week of the 11th, after the 12th, so we got like 3 days there. It could be as late as the 15th. If it were to run any later than that, I don't know what we're going to do, because we have to get tax bills out. So, everybody has a pretty good idea of what the calendar is, and just to make sure everybody understands, we are sending out tax bills on March 31st, so we have to have them over to the printers before that. There's a printer who also does our mailings, so we have to have all that information into their hands so that they can have the mailings done by March 31st, so call it April 1st. And then we have a month to pay our bills, or you have to pay the bill, and potentially do abatements. The abatement date is May 1st. Bill payment date is May 1st. Anything after that, and you are late in your bill payment, and we will not accept an abatement application. As long as that's clear to everybody, we can move on. Anything else about the 5-year reval that we wanted to talk about? Mr. Rabbit? No? Cool. Wow. We received a copy of an RFP for a data collection activity that I thought I had right here, but now I'm not looking at it, but you all got copies of it. Our HR department and purchasing needs to know if they need to make any changes to that RFP, or we need a motion that we support the RFP as submitted.
And,
Please.
Brian, I know when Linda McQuaid was in to visit me about a week ago, she had made a couple of small suggestions to Julie, things that she has had in her RFPs, so just a couple of slight changes, so I think that was taken into consideration.
So for those of you who don't know, Julie's our HR person. And she's also assistant town manager or something, I think, too, right?
Yes, she is, yeah.
Mr. Chairman, isn't she also in charge of purchasing?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's why she came in the contract.
Yep. many hats. So I would entertain a motion, or we should actually probably make the motion, and then if you have any suggestions, changes, let's make them then. So a motion to support the RFP?
Sure. I motion we accept the RFP.
For the data collection position. Yep.
Thank you.
Mr. Rabbit?
Second?
Okay, any other discussion on the RFP? I had a chance to read it, I didn't want to make any changes, but if anyone had some, feel free. Now? Ms.,
This is the RFP for personal property, correct?
this is the data collection for,
Personal property.
now I have to pull it back out. I do want to, do you have yours in front of you, Mr. Rabbit?
Actually, I do not. I do not. I have a big
Yeah,
pile.
I know where it is, I think.
If it was the one that Julie was working on, I believe that's for personal property. And our vendor for personal property is RSC, and they will probably be the only one to reply to it.
Give me a second to find it. I had it right here.
I did not print it out.
It's important that we know what we're voting on. Where did I put it? So much stuff.
See if I can get it on my file.
Hold on.
I think it is, Brian, because that's what Julie was working on, was personal property.
One more place. I think it was too, but I want to be able to say with
Yeah.
certainty. Well, let's assume it was. At least that's what we'll vote on.
I think it's right.
Personal property.
Yes.
It was, okay. We have confirmation. That's what I was looking for.
It took me just as long.
And
Um,
And I only ask that because I don't know if this has been presented to the board yet, but it's another,
Is it continuing?
it's for fiscal '25.
For the
It's
interim.
So that's, that would be, let's follow that up. Let's finish off on this item,
Okay.
but good point. Hearing no pushback, I think we'll take a vote. It has to be a voice vote. Mr. Rabbit?
Aye.
Ms. Cameron?
Aye.
Mr. LaFawn? Aye. Thank you. Did you want to address that now, the vision one?
Well, I know it's dated January, but I think Heather has just come back from vacation, so I just want to make sure. I'll make copies for you guys on this one, but I don't know if Heather has had this one yet.
Is it available electronically?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'd rather not get copies. But,
actually, Pat did send that to me electronically.
Okay.
So, yes,
Thank you.
I will do it electronically.
thank you. Expense vouchers, payroll, billing errors, et cetera. What do we have to sign today?
All right.
Hi, Jay.
This,
Mute.
we haven't quite got the format down yet, but this is the first group of motor vehicle abatements. This has been sitting around for a while, and we we finally got the first group in the system. And the total on this is I believe it's 807.96.
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, so these are motor vehicle abatements that are going to be returned for things like people that got rid of vehicles and so
Yep.
forth and so on.
I guess that's mine. Well, we don't need to vote on these, we can just,
No, we don't have one.
Mr. Abbott, the two of us can sign this, Sarah and I can sign this, so you will be all set. And is there just one copy?
Just one you have to sign.
Okay, thank you.
And then I have Mylene, the tax collector. I think this is, she gave me the pages to be signed. This is the first commitment of 24, and excise tax, we're talking $1,630,359.26 that will be coming in. So you need to sign that commitment to, for motor vehicles.
Okay.
That's the new one, and in the next couple of weeks, I'll have a big abatement list on those for you
Would
to
you like me
sign.
to date?
Yes, please,
Is it,
the date.
the other one wasn't dated, but I'm not sure it
Oh.
needed to be. Is just one to be signed?
Cinco? Look at you.
Well, Rena, do we have to sign more than one copy of this, I assume?
No, you just have to sign one.
They look like they're the same.
Actually, sign the second one, because I think one goes to the tax collector and one goes to the town accountant. This one only goes to the tax collector because it's reimbursements.
Right, so she, well, yeah.
The only other thing I have for the board to sign, this is a partial release. This goes back to 1980. It was a big piece of property that was released from chapter land, and subdivided and built on. There was one little piece of a parcel that didn't get released. And the new owners, it's one of the new houses on Flat Hill Road. It's showing up as still so it's a partial release for this property on Flat Hill, because it wasn't part of the original release.
Not the condos?
No, this is a single-family home.
Okay. As long as it's not the condos.
No, it's not.
Okay.
And that I have to get a new check from them. It's outdated. You can sign here.
Formally, do we have to take a vote on that one?
No.
Probably, because it's chapter land?
You can if you want.
Let's take a vote, just so that we make sure we've crossed all the Ts and dotted all the Is.
That makes sense.
So would like to make a motion?
Do we name the property?
The property
You can name the
is
property.
actually 372 Flat Hill Road.
So I think the motion would be to accept this release of classified forest, agricultural, or horticultural recreational land from 372 Flat Hill Road,
This is 61C?
61A.
61A?
It
Okay.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
61A property.
And the amount
And
is...
that release was done quite a few years
Oh,
ago.
I'm sure it was.
It's just that evidently.
I think you're,
It didn't release at all.
If
And
anyone
the
ever
new
asks.
owners of the new home are having an issue now
Well,
because,
So I think we want to vote on this one, so.
yes,
yeah.
yes.
The motion was to support release of this piece, really small piece of
Small
property at
piece.
61A, from chapter 61A at 321, nope, 372 Flat Hill Road.
Flat Hill Road.
So what is the Elmwood Road for? Is that the-
That was the original big parcel.
Okay, thank you. At 372 Flat Hill Road, so, that was your motion?
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Abbott, will you second it?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? None? Again, this has to be roll call.
John Rabbit, aye.
Sarah Camera, aye.
Brian LaFond, aye. We'll just, the two of us will sign it. If it needs a third signature, he can just do it sometime when he comes to the office,
Don't you need to?
when he's healthy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all I have for you for right now.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is to approve the data collection, I'm sorry,
No, we did that.
I lied. Oh, the how to read your vision card.
Yes,
I
so
I sent you a couple of things today. Did you get them?
I haven't gotten them yet, but
Okay,
I can make
I
those
have them.
changes.
I have them.
Okay.
The first is, well, no, the last is, I'll do that one last. The first is, the amount of excess land value is $8,200.
Okay,
The second is, on this one, where we have this equation, I'd really like to know what the base, where the source of that information is. I know what the .8 is, because that comes from right here, on this,
so that was from a previous document. That's what I was asking for help with, because I don't know where that came from either.
okay, because I was trying to, okay, that makes more sense, thank you. We need to finalize this, though.
Yes,
So with that one piece of information that we will still provide to all three members,
oh, thank you, I forgot about code 36.
the camp is actually code 36.
I forgot about that.
I knew you knew that, but,
Well, not that you have it written there, it's obvious.
the condominium base rate is indeed $50 per
Okay.
square foot. And
I have to fix that page.
so.
Random empty page.
Oh, well, I have a suggestion for that, but on this, do you have a explanation for this, what the hell, excuse me,
Wasn't it the 7 on the commercial value of the land,
it was
on the land line,
on the landline. but-
which is on the front of the card, down the
Well,
bottom?
7 is right there.
Yeah, it was on the 7,701 units, 101 units, is that the square footage of the property?
I think so.
Okay,
And that's the town library.
yeah, yep, that's good. The calculation showed something that was 80,000 and in excess, so it was really more, where did you get that? Did that come from here? So
I see.
it was just trying to get a clarification on that calculation, which we will do
This one.
and share with everyone on
This one right
page
here.
5. My other suggestion, in order to eliminate this empty page, if we actually extend the margins a little bit,
Yeah, probably do that.
it will pick up enough, I think, so that all of these,
It'll shift into one page instead of yeah.
all that really comes up is this last thing, so I'm thinking that if we expand the margins, we may get it. So those are all the suggestions I had. Mr. Rabbit, did you have, you can have that one. I don't want to see it again till it's online.
No. Feelings mutual.
Did you have any feedback, Mr. Abbott, on how to read your property?
Yes, I did a couple, but first of all, Sarah, this is a nice piece of work. Thank you. This is really good. Congratulations.
Well,
This is,
Concord did most of the work.
That's,
don't get a fat head.
it's what I said in my email to you, too.
Hey, just a question, Sarah. When I was reading it, when I first got started, I just thought, okay, 2024 bids ago, the fair market value is almost always based on. And I thought, do we want to keep reinforcing this as 2024? Because what's going to happen is this thing's going to lie around there forever. And hopefully you take Brian's offer up to make the modifications in the future for us.
It's a Word document. You can go in and change it.
So we will post a PDF, but we will maintain the Word document.
Okay.
Having said that, we did comment earlier that we'd like to make this somewhat timeless. One of our earlier discussions, we talked about making it somewhat timeless, but in order to make it most useful for our folks today, our taxpayers today, we wanted to get this out there with today's information on it. So we did have that conversation. I think we all agreed. Was it just last week?
Meeting, yeah.
Was it last? I don't know.
I don't know what it was. It's on a minute someplace. But yes, we want to make this as timeless as possible, but we want to have real data in there, so that's why it is specific to this time frame. If we need to update it in the future, it will no longer say fiscal year '24 on the header.
And Mr. Chairman, if there's one other, basically on page 5, under excess land, I know we still got the XXXs.
Is
and
that
the land.
We just talked about that. That number is 8,200.
1,200, okay. And the question became, what if someone has something less? And I know we apply factors to it. If someone's got a landlocked piece of land, he's got less than 80,000, we would apply a factor. Do we have a factor or are we going to identify any of the factors that could be considered?
Mr. Chair, I think Rena has.
If it's a smaller parcel, that's where the land curve kicks in.
Right.
And you get your dollar per square foot from the land curve.
So that's the answer to your first question. That addresses it.
A lot
Does
that
it
does-
answer?
A lot,
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
a lot that does not conform to your zoning, that's where your land curve comes in, and you have the square footage and how much it is, $1 per square foot on your land curve. So if it's a smaller lot, you're going to look to your land curve and see the range of that, if it's a quarter of an acre, where that falls on your land curve, and it will give $1 per square foot for that.
Right now, that's at the bottom of page 4 and top of first column and the top of page 4, second column.
Right. Okay, so if I've got something that's half an acre, but only they can't get into it because of a big ridge or a cliff or something like that, we can put that in a factor. But
Well, there would be a land curve, and then there would be a factor. That I don't know how it would factor in accessibility.
You can, if it's a small parcel, and it's going to have to be something that would have to be looked at and make a determination.
I was more concerned about how we record it on the card than how we determine whether it's accessible or not. So once we determine it, how do we make sure it's on the card and not charging people an arm and a leg for a piece of property that's useless? Is that fair?
that's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Well, if it's useless, hopefully it'll be coded a 132, which
There you
is
go.
one unbuildable. If it's potentially developable,
Sure.
it would be coded a 131.
Sure.
Potentially developable. A 130 code is just straight vacant land. And you
Right.
wouldn't, until a determination is made,
Right.
if it's, if it's a big hill or something, then your factors for topography or
Sure.
access or whatever would kick in.
To reiterate, I wasn't trying to figure out how we decide, I want to know how we record. So
Your
132.
land use code.
The land use code of 132 would be used in many cases to indicate that the land is not usable.
Small, not buildable.
Is that,
Chairman, it's not the entire lot though. The back half of this lot, they just can't get to because of the cliff. And the only way they could get to it is through somebody else's property.
so you're talking about a specific instance, we're talking more generalities, but I understand what you're saying. So if the land has two different, basically, topographies, I got that right. Thank you, everybody. Then we could designate a part of it as, or not.
Well, you would want to have it looked at in a determination, have them file an abatement if they think it's unusable in the back. You would go out, you would take a look at
So-
it and make a determination.
Again, I'm not about the determination, I'm about how do we record it on the card, and we could record it as a 132, or some portion of it as 132, I think. No?
You're not going to split land use codes on a card.
Okay, so they have to subdivide their land? I don't know how you do
No.
that, because it's a small lot.
I think, for the purpose of what you're trying to do, you're getting into,
Well, that's true.
stuff that has to be taken on a case-by-case basis. This is kind of general, how to read your card. You're getting into a lot of,
So we can't, yes, that's, okay. You have another question that's a follow-up on this one?
Yes, a continuation. Mr. Chairman, the history we've observed is that unless it gets changed, they have to come in and file for an abatement every year, otherwise it gets lost. And there's got to be some way we can note the card or something such that these abatements don't disappear on us and they'll force them to come in every year. And, why do the work, why cause all that work for everybody?
if a factor is put on a card through an abatement process, that factor stays on that card.
Right.
And does it spell it out, I guess?
You spell it out in the notes, and we have a fairly sizable space for notes. So you'd spell it out in the notes, you'd put the factor on the card. If the factor would then carry forward over time.
So they would not have to file every year. It would carry forward.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mayor.
And, yes, thank you very much for the explanation. It's not always easy. And thank you very much for the,
So it looks like there's nothing else.
any other,
Was there anything else?
No, there's not. Sarah, great work again, thank you.
Okay. So I'll just figure that last part out.
this one right here, the calculation, we need to, and then just share it with us.
Yeah.
And then let's get it live. Get her out there, right, Jack?
I'll be happy
I'm
to
all for
have
that.
that.
Can we vote on this now? Just so we can get.
Well, with the changes that we've just suggested, I think we can vote on it as amended. I would like to move, because Ms. Camera is actually the one that put it together, that we support the how to read your vision card as amended. Mr. Rabbit?
Second that, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other conversation? Hearing none, let's go have a roll call vote.
John Rabbit, aye.
Sarah Cammer, aye.
Brian LaFond, aye. Have at it. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Now that the how to read your vision card is done, can you take over the maps?
The one that's all one
All one
shade of green
color.
and
It's-
blue, and the blue is not lake?
Yep.
What?
So we've fed back some, and this may be the right place to do that, I don't know where else to do it. We fed back to CAI on the map that we got and said, here's some things we want changed, and they made some changes. And then I suggested that there may be some other color coordination that would make it easier to read, and they changed it completely and just put two colors on the map,
They made a gradient.
green and blue, and there were different grades of green and blue. but the lakes weren't blue. The lakes were some other color. It was, I can't really see the map, I can't really read the map, and my earlier comment was, Ms. Cameron, I know that you are sort of GIS and map related. Is there something you could do to be the coordinator of feedback with CAI on the map?
Well, actually, what I sent to you when I saw the map was that tell them to turn off the gradient and assign individual colors to each of the codes so that you can clearly see them. That's, just tell them not to do gradient.
Okay.
I mean, if you want, I can call them and tell them what to do.
I will send you tomorrow Mike's contact information.
By the way, to be quite frank, they are very receptive and responsive to stuff like that. It's just when they responded, the way they responded, it gave us a bigger problem than we had. So, oops,
I will.
my fault.
I can just call and talk to them. I'm sure we can.
I have the direct
It's not that hard to
phone
change
numbers.
those colors.
I thought not.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
have both Nick and Mike's direct lines, so I will send those to you in their email addresses.
Who should she primarily try to reach?
I
Nick or Mike?
believe Nick Weber is the one that was doing the neighborhood map.
Thank you.
I think Mike was working with me on getting all the cards online. So I think it's probably Nick Weber, and I will send you his contact
Yeah, I can
information
call.
in the morning.
So,
Yeah.
what,
When do they work, till 5?
what's the schedule of events around finalizing the map?
I'm not sure. I think we need to talk to Becky about that because we're supposed to have it for final certification.
That
We
was
do
my
have
thought.
a map.
We have a map
We
that is
have a map for
certifiable.
final certification, but, and we'll have to talk to Becky about that.
Okay.
Tell her we need to make a few color changes.
I mean, that first one had unique colors. It just, I mean, it's better than the second one.
They were
I think,
unique pastels that all blend into each other. From my perspective, that was, I'm a man, I can't see
I
colors.
mean, I did really like that gradient. It would be great on a t-shirt.
Sorry. Mr. Abbott, you had something?
Just two quick points. I did send that map over to Kara, the last one on the 29th or 30th, well, the first.
28th or whatever, yep.
Yeah, I'll pull that back, and I'll just throw a sit tight for on that. Hey, is there anything on the neighborhood maps?
That is the neighborhood.
That is the neighborhood map?
That's the site index.
That's what a site index is, a neighborhood?
map.
Well, I thought they actually delineated neighborhoods on the map.
So in some other zip codes, they have neighborhoods as one thing, and then there's enough other stuff to have neighborhoods and also site maps. So there's enough sales to have multiple neighborhoods and site indexes. In Lunenburg, we just have neighborhoods and site indexes merged.
And that's it.
That's it. So the map is the neighborhood.
So I
It's
don't
the
have to
site
worry about
index.
carving the space out on the site. Okay, I'm happy either way.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yes, we don't need to have two maps because they would be identical.
Yeah, except for the little lines.
The little-
Little lines that designate a neighborhood. That's okay.
That-
I haven't seen anything since
He-
the half.
So what I think you were suggesting is some kind of outline for neighborhoods, but most of our neighborhoods are dispersed. They're not really neighborhoods.
And there are some large condo developments that become neighborhoods unto themselves, so I don't want to go there right now.
Okay, thank you. And
Okay, thank you.
thank you for picking up the ball.
Sure.
Appreciate that a lot.
Well, I'm done with this vision card
You're
thing.
done with this vision card.
Move on to the next thing.
Status of our community outreach, did you want to talk about the website improvements first? We may not be able to see anything that you have right now, but you can talk to us about.
And I tried to move over, Brian, and every time I try to move onto the screen, the whole thing crashes. I've come on 3 or 4 times since then. Okay, basically, let me, if I could just talk quickly about the meeting of the 25th, with the senior center.
Wait.
Well, which one do you want to go to first?
Well, I said website. I was
The website.
Give me the website first, and we can move on to the other one, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I met with Kara, I didn't meet with her, I called her. And we hopefully will have a sandbox you can play with by the end of the week, that we can start taking a look at. Because still got a ton of holes that we're still trying to fill fast and furious. So, yeah, that's where we are. I think we're down maybe 20 holes. And in fact, I sent some information over to you this afternoon. I'm working on the organization chart and a work breakdown structure. And they kind of two come together in terms of who does what and what are the processes that we're going to try and address and put into place. So that's a long-term project, but I just wanted to get something on your radar, and perhaps after we get through meeting with the assessors and setting the tax rate, we can get into that kind of structure. It's not going to be an organization. There's nothing talking about that. I just need to know what gets done by whom and what are the expectations, what are the inputs, the outputs, and what are the measurements that we're going to be taking on. And so therefore we can start loading those in. We need processes, and this is how you get it started. So I sent that over to you today.
So, let me interrupt. So, the website Sandbox may be available by as soon as the end of this week?
For us only.
And absolutely, that's fine. So, I know it's, well, let me finish the question. I know there's going to be, it's a subset of that 16-page document you had.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering, do you have a list of what things you expect to have up in the Sandbox and when?
I hope to have the first half of it by the time we get there. The mission, all the different files that we play with and put up publicly, that's going to go right now. And just that and sleeping for 2 days.
We'll feel better.
So yeah, and then, so that's where we are on that. I will be including, by the way, I'm going to try and include the conference that we're putting on with the 25th.
So, yeah, I wanted to close off on the website thing. I want to then talk about the senior center orientation that you're going to be doing, and then I want to talk about the 41C. So if you can do them in order, that way we can logically follow.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Sarah has something.
Can I ask one question about the website?
Website still.
When and I don't know if Kara can fix this or not, but when I go to the town page, there's boards, there's departments. You look in the boards, you can't find the Board of Assessors.
We're in the departments.
Yeah.
And then you gotta go over to departments, and it's just Assessors Department. And if I were a citizen, I'd be looking for the Board of Assessors, because that's how the meetings are lined up. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Kara can possibly go and put us on that splash page that
And we put
opens.
like the school department down there too, and things like that. And we had a brief discussion, and I didn't.
Because that for me is just like
Oh, yeah.
the
Yeah,
first
and
thing.
it's like the news, the section, you have to go to the top, the very, very entry page, and then page off, you page down to see all the news articles. There's opportunities for getting better at that as well. So,
I concur.
I will bring that up, Sarah. It's a good comment, it's a good thought.
You can tell her, Kara, that we are unanimous in our wish to move it from department to board.
Okay.
If she wants to have it in both places, I don't care.
Hey, can I get a vote on that?
You can, if you'd like. So moved. Oh, wait a minute. I'd like to move that we ask for the web designer to move our web
Board of Assessors.
site for Board of Assessors to the board
Yeah.
portion of the Lunenburg Town website. And if she so chooses, she certainly may leave it under departments as well. That's my motion.
Second.
Anybody want to comment on that?
Mr. Chairman, I think it's a great idea, and if you think in terms of elected officials, we really belong in the column.
We'll take a roll call vote.
John Rankin, aye?
Sarah Camera, aye.
Brian LaFont, aye. We are unanimous.
Okay. Good job, Sarah.
Thank you. So we can move off website. Now, we want to talk about the focused presentation on the 25th first.
I've had a chance to, and I have some of the materials, had a chance to communicate back and forth with our state representative, and I'm gonna just get off the screen because I can't see and read this very well. Okay, in terms of Representative Margaret Scarsdale.
Jack,
Take a step back.
Mr. Arm?
It's time down dramatically.
We didn't,
I couldn't hear that first part.
Okay.
You're facing, you're kind of facing away from your mic.
that's unusual.
How about if I also take a wash and done with my mouth? I'm sorry. Yes, okay. I took the boards, I went back and watched it twice to hear, make sure I got it all. And we shrunk the time down to essentially 45 minutes from whatever. And at the same time, we broke out a couple of pieces. I had a chance to talk a little bit more. And I've got to get back to them with regard to the latest change, possible change, and any potential change in order. Representative Scarsdale, she is going to talk to us about a couple of the pieces that are affecting us with regard to board of assessors. She originally approached us with, I wanted to share with the town what was going on that's going to be affecting them. And since the title was "We're Here to Help," and certainly I'm not going to tell her she can't talk about certain things, but she came back and said that first of all, she wanted to do what we're calling it the update from Beacon Hill, and things in the pipeline to state auditor and multiple legislations, the Mass Teachers Association tweaking school funding formulas, Unitil update, municipal choice bill, I think that's affecting us, and 874, the act to modernize cable access providers to keeping Lunenburg and public in town. Okay, we'll take it. And in the meantime, the next step is that she and he, Lou Frankel, talk about H391. Oh, by the way, Margaret's going to get this done in 10 minutes. Then Lou's going to get up there and talk about the bill. The act authorized the town of Lunenburg to establish a means-tested senior citizen property tax exemption, the same one that was approved last year for the town to pass along the Beacon Hill. Let me say. So anyway, and then that'll be done in 10 minutes. Then all current property tax exemptions, and Rena, that's yours. And Rena, I know we're in hurt for time because you got to be out there at 4, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm going to make them. So I think that you were indicating that you could get it all done in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we'll get that done, and then we'll talk about the next piece, and 41C that needs town approval. I'll try and based on what our board approves real soon, we'll take that into them and share that with them.
Recommends, right?
So 10 minutes, then we'll spend, hopefully we'll be able to get them all set up on the website and give them a quick brief. We're not signing the function, still same box. And 2 minutes, 5 minutes, then the rest of it is Q&A. And then we're done.
So, may I make a suggestion?
Of course. Please.
We don't know how long the discussion with the representative is going to go, and the discussion that Mr. Franco will be undertaking. So, I would really like to make sure that Rena's stuff goes first, and you schedule them for like 3:30 or 3:20. That way they can come in a little bit later, and then if it runs over, Rena doesn't have to run out.
Yeah, I'm thinking like my fallback is, if she told me she would hold 10 minutes, okay.
Well, it took you 10 minutes to read off all the stuff she was going to talk about, so if she's going to talk about them for another 10 minutes, I don't know how she gets there, so just on observation.
I think if she runs over, Rena, tell us, and I will pull back, Lou and I will talk, and we'll push Lou back, and that can act as a buffer.
Or perhaps perhaps another way would be to, if you want to have the representative go first, then have Rena immediately thereafter, and then fold into the futures.
Right, the reason why Lou, I try to keep them paired up, is because Representative Scarsdale has something to do with it with regard to the State House, and she would be sharing where it is right now, what they're trying to move, and then Lou would come in with all the details. So I try to butt them up together. But certainly, if we're running over and Rena, you're getting nervous, because I understand, we can just pull Lou back, and I'm betting that Representative Scarsdale will most likely hang around to the end, and, have a chance to talk to the citizens there.
So that was my suggestion, to move her toward the end, because Rena can't hang around at the end, and if Ms. Scarsdale wants to extend her conversations, then it would be actually more useful for her to be there at the end as opposed to the beginning.
Well,
Okay.
can I add, if I'm somebody and I want to know how I can be helped fiscally on my taxes and on this, I want to hear from that part first. And then the stuff that can happen later, I would be happy to hear about it later. But if it starts with something that's not directly impacting what I came for, like that might be something later, I might leave. And that could be because I'm young and impatient. But I think I'm just a person who likes to get to the point, and there are a lot of people at town meeting who like to get to the point.
Or because I'm old and tired.
I'm young and tired, so.
Okay, so you're suggesting.
I really think.
Representative Scarsdale, and see if she doesn't mind if we push her back a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And essentially, it's Rena's running tight schedule.
If you do Rena's first, then everything else can flow however you'd like it to afterward.
We'll go back after. Okay.
Because I'm just going to tell them what we have in place right now and what they qualify for, and give them all that information.
And then don't forget the tax deferral. You want to add that into your spiel, the line. The 41A section.
I will give what the requirements are for that and that it's in place. Currently, we have no one on that, but I will give the requirements for that.
Yep.
Okay. And so,
So that, logically to me, that also flows. Here's where we are today.
okay.
Here's what we're working on, here's what may be happening in the future. So, and to me, that makes a logical sense. So there's several reasons to do that, not the least of which is Rena's schedule.
Well, actually, that's a big thing in my mind.
Thank you.
It really is. Can't leave the kids hanging. Right, Rena?
That's right.
That's right.
Gotta pick up
Grammy,
those
where
little
were
guys.
you?
The other question is, we're going to get some potential questions, and the only one that I can think of that right up front, and this is for you guys too, I know, Brian, you sure you don't want to come when we get to third meeting?
Can't do it unless I post the meeting. I'm not posting the meeting.
Okay. And what are the assessors doing to make sure we don't repeat the 2023 debacle or whatever, 2022 debacle? And that was the only that I can think of. I know people are asking, what are you going to do to make sure this doesn't happen again? And then I'll hold back the questions if anybody questions the circuit breaker. I'll have material for that and leave out implications and the override options. And that, but that, I'm not going to present it, but if it comes up, I'll have a slide that can put a big picture to it or something.
Yep.
And that's where it looks right now. That's all I've got.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you for being a little flexible on how you laid this thing out, because I think it'll be more advantageous for the folks in the
Yeah,
room.
and I did put a call to the Ledger to see if they could send a reporter over to pick that information up. But I haven't heard back, and apparently the person who runs it just got married, so that's possibly why I haven't called back yet. Yeah, that's it for that as much as I can.
Okay. We're ready to move on to the 41C proposed exemption increases
Right?
you've been
Right?
working on?
Yeah, did everybody get that copy?
Did? I think you, yep.
Yes.
Okay, so hey, first of all, thank you for the feedback. And I'm kind of kicking myself. And Sarah, once again, I value your input in that, you said, I'm not going to vote on it until I see the data. And what I had put together really quickly was just a big scratch sheet to come up with a number that I thought was going to kind of work. And so this time around, I tried to make it a lot clearer. And if there's any comments that can help clarity, I will sure going to make it point out. So anyway, 41C exemption and analysis, we went back and the first part section, you did see the 18 towns that we looked at and changed the format a little bit. And so now, can you see it? Does anybody get it from?
Yes.
You do, okay. So anyway, we did a ratio of the number of citizens allowed for the applications. I'm sorry, column J. And we're allowed to say total quality in qualifications 41C, column J, 70 was the age that we do right now. And but a number of them came back and said 65, in fact 2/3 of them are now saying we do it at 65, they've lowered that age. Next section was the amount was granted per exemption. We are currently doing $750. 500 of that is being reimbursed by the state, and another 250 is what we are doing right now and what we're paying. So the max allowable gross income is not, we're not trying to change anything. If you're single, it's 20,000. If you're married, it's 30,000. And that gets into a whole big question about what if there are other people living in the house, and is there rent that we're not seeing, or what's happening there? So when I shared this with you last time, if there's somebody else in there, how do you find out? And Becky's suggestion was go check the voter registration rolls. And so I guess, I don't know if we want to do that. I mean, it's up to you folks. How far do we want to pursue this in terms of the investigation? When someone comes in, obviously, we're going to ask them to see all their savings. If they have something like one checkbook and they bring it, we don't see the other one, I don't know, how are we going to find that out? And then there's a couple of things with, they don't file taxes, maybe they did, but they tell us they don't file taxes. Are we going to get in a position where we're starting to question people who really are working it?
So,
I asked Sue about that a little bit too, if she had ever seen anybody take advantage of the program. And she believes she has, but it's not a big number. And so, let me step back, I'm sorry. Sue and I spent quite a bit of time talking about this and what its implications could be. And so we kind of came to a recommendation that essentially is 4 options there. And the first one is to don't change at all. And the town's going to end up shelling out $5,000. But it's nothing, and Brian, thank you very much for that comment in terms of going in and looking at it from an incremental cost to the citizen right now. Right now, this is what they're paying. If we were to ask them for another option, we've identified those incremental improvements. So, or increases, not improvements. So right now, we're distributing with the $5,000 that we're getting out of pocket in town. It's about $1.12 for each of the households that are in the town. So you're spending $1 on keeping these people full. If you go to option 1, where we raise the exemption compensation from the $750 to the $1,000, that would represent an increase of about $5,000 over what we're currently doing now. If we were to go to option 2, which would lower the age down to 65 from 70, we would be looking at a total cost of the town of about $7,500 and an incremental cost of $2,500 or $1.69 per household. So that would be an incremental increase of 57 cents over what they're doing. And lastly, if you combine the two options, which was lower the age and take it up to $1,000 expenditures, total out-of-town cost would be $1,500, and would be an incremental cost to the citizens of $1,000, or roughly at $3.38 per household. And that would be basically $2.26 more than what you're doing right now, that we'd be asking for. And I know we talked about the poverty, and Sarah, that data that you provided was pretty interesting. It kind of fit, but like you said, the margins of errors were really significant. And that gets us back to the conversation that Sue and I had earlier. And that usually if you change something, you only try to turn one dial at a time and see what happens. And if we went to doing both, the exemption and the reduction in age, you kind of turn two dials, and that can get kind of dangerous or a little bit out of control. So what Sue and I are both recommending is that we only make one change and lower the age down to 65, see what impact that has, and the following year we go up the other $250 up to $1,000. So that's kind of where we are right now.
So it feels to me that this is more data-driven, which I like. And the implications of trying to, you're right, turn up two dials quickly, we don't understand what the implications would be. We've made some assumptions around the number of additional folks who might be eligible and might in fact apply, which I don't think are out to lunch. They're reasonable at least. So if you and the director of the senior center think that we should probably address just one of these two options this year, then that's not a bad recommendation. If we are clear to the voters and taxpayers, which may not be the same list of people, what the cost would be to them, at least they can then make the choice, an informed choice. We do recognize, hopefully, that this is a year where we may be addressing an override activity, and there may be some tightening of pocketbooks across the board. So asking for too much means you'll get nothing. Asking for something might mean you could get something.
Right. And what we're asking is basically 57 cents more per household.
Right.
And it's a rounding error on the tax bill. But it's perceived as very important to those people that are trying to fund.
We've assumed it's 57 cents per household, assuming just households, but we also have taxpayers who are commercial, and those commercial folks would absorb some portion of that as well, so it wouldn't even be the 57 cents.
That's correct.
Yeah, so we can go to the taxpayers and potentially ask them for something around 50 cents a person, or 50 cents a household, and at least they would know what they're getting into. I also as I was thinking about this, I thought, well, gee, that's year one, but what's the implication about year two? Well, we don't know about the implications of year two, because it would change the number of people who are eligible. So it is sort of, you're tied into that number, but some people are going to be coming off the list as well. So I don't know how that might increase the list over time. There's no way to really tell. We can make some assumptions, but we'd have to be looking at, actuarial tables and stuff that I'm not prepared to do.
We did look at some of those.
I know, I'm sure you did. So the implication is, this is what it would cost you this year. It's probably not going to cost you a hell of a lot more next year either, but we can't guarantee that.
You're doing a good thing. And, by the way, people did ask, someone will look back and say, are we really throwing him off at 87 years old?
85, no.
No, we're not doing that, we're not doing that. It's just a
So I have a couple comments if you have a second.
Sure, sir.
I wanted to just share the data that I sent to you, because I didn't comment on it, I just sent it, and I don't think the public knows what it is. So I looked up the American Community Survey data for Lunenburg. That's a data survey that gets published every year based on people filling out the annual census. So it has a lot of error because a lot of people don't fill it out. And so that's where the error comes from, but it is a point in time, and the most recent one is 2022. So that's what I sent, and I encourage people to look at that because it tells you a lot about your community. It shows people in poverty, the age distribution, the number of households, how many veterans you have, which wars they fought in, who's disabled. There was a finance committee meeting where the library was talking about improving the sound system for people with auditory disabilities, and they didn't know how many people there were. That information is in there. And it also has income distribution. And one of the things that I sent out to as data was that the stats from 2022 show that there are 293 people under the age of 18 in this town that are below poverty, in the below poverty level. There are 438 people ages 18 to 64 that fall in that. And there are 263 people who are 60 and over who fall into that category. And poverty level for a family of two is, the income is $61,320. And for one person, it's $45,180. So that's what that means in this community. So when I look at that senior sheet, that 41C, those levels where we're looking to assist people, they most certainly fall in the poverty level, even though they're in homes. And actually, if you look at that census data, 80% of people in Lunenburg are in a home. They're not renting, they're in a house, and that's the household. And so my point with that is I do support aiding seniors in this situation, but it's just frustrating to me on a personal level, outside of of our opportunity in the 41C to help people, that we have so many people who have no other recourse for exemptions in their taxes. They don't get the circuit breaker, that doesn't show up. They don't get 41C. If they're disabled, they get something. If they're vets, they get something. But we have some serious poverty in Lunenburg, and certainly schools are a way out of that poverty. Certainly our services in the library are a way out of that. But I just regret that the only thing our state manages right now is assisting seniors who are in homes. Because you know, those kids who are under 18, that'll affect them for life. And they haven't lived it yet. So while I support raising that, I just want to bring some awareness to that, because I think it's a number that people aren't really thinking about in town very much. I certainly didn't know those numbers until I looked them up. So just wanted to share that. And also, you know, I am concerned about doing this right now when people are talking about in town doing an override, but you know, that's also for the voters to decide. I'm not going to hold it up because I'm concerned about that. I think, you know, an override is also in the hand of the voters. Putting this exemption forward is also in the hands of voters, and it will really help at least some people. So I just wanted to share my perspective there. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Sarah, I so appreciate what you put together there. I took it all and I said, Jane, you gotta see these numbers. I was shocked, you know, Off the top of your head, so what, I mean, is 10% of the town poverty? Below poverty?
I have to look at the,
Yeah, the numbers look like.
I didn't write down that stat.
There's almost
Yeah.
12,000 people in town, so you can
Yeah.
get it from that.
Oh, yeah, you're right, I could.
We can do a calculation,
Yeah.
it's not 10%.
No.
And it was shocking, the numbers. They were, and where they, we had been identifying that 7% of the senior population was living in poverty, or below poverty line. So, there's some work to be done. Support your local food pantry.
Excellent point. Is there any more discussion on whether we should move forward with a proposal to town meeting to decrease the age of eligibility? Is that the one you wanted to start with?
That's the one that Sue and I thought made the best sense, the lowest risk, and it'll give us a good baseline for maybe next year when we raise it up. We'll see how many people sign up.
Right. Any further discussion on that, or?
Sorry, I switched off the sheet. What age are we at right now?
70.
We assume that we'll get about 50% more because it's not a 15-year or 20-year period, it's just a 5-year period, but they're younger and healthier and there'll be more of them because baby boomers are everywhere.
Yeah.
So,
Mr. Chairman, the other factor was that we were also recognizing that we're going to try and make more people aware they're going to come, and maybe they wouldn't have, and maybe they'll fall. So that was the other reason that took us up to about 50%.
hence your presentation before the senior center. Exactly, thank you. Yeah. Does anybody feel like ready to make a motion? You can move, Jack, if you like.
Can I go?
You can make the motion.
Okay, I'd like to move that we modify 42A, 41A, I'm sorry, my head is back. 41A, and we make the modification that we lower the age of eligibility down to 65 years of age.
41C.
41C.
Isn't that?
It's 41C, right?
Yeah.
This is,
41A.
It's 41C.
41C.
It's 41C.
I'm sorry if I...
So you're going to revise that motion to be 41C?
41C.
So revised.
And we're making a recommendation.
We can only make a recommendation to town hall,
Yeah.
to town meeting.
Mr. Chairman, if I can modify it a little bit?
Okay, modify it again.
If we approve it, I will try and move ahead and put it into the warrant before we run out of time.
Well, you're putting the cart before the horse, so let's first decide that we want to support it.
Vote it, okay, we'll vote that.
I did not see it go down.
What was it?
It's the Zoom. Oh, there.
We're back? Are we still with you, Jack?
Yeah, I hear.
Our Zoom blew up for a second, we weren't sure.
Okay.
So the motion was to reduce the age of eligibility to 65 years old,
That's correct.
maintaining all the other eligibility qualifications.
No other changes.
I second it.
Is there any further discussion about that? Hearing none, I'll now take a roll call vote. On Zoom,
Aye.
in the room,
Sarah
I
Cameron.
hear. Brian LaFond. We are unanimous. So now as far as implementation, I believe, Jack, you were talking about you would put together the details to get this onto the warrant. Warrant articles are due by 15th?
They should know, but I don't remember.
Yeah,
It's really soon.
It
think
is
it's-
posted on a page
Yeah, I
somewhere.
think it's either the 14th or the 15th.
I think it might be on the
So
main
you
page.
don't have much time to pull it all together. We appreciate your offering to take it under your wing. And someone will probably have to take this in front of the Board of Selectmen for a brief presentation.
I'm not so sure I have to go in front of lawyers first.
Well-
You'll approve the wording, but there's not gonna be that much wording there.
Right.
Let me scope it out, and, by the way, if we're meeting with them next week, that's before the 15th, can't we, as a group, submit?
That was my, yes. I believe they have other things on their agenda, but we could get on their agenda for this item if we are ready.
Yes, I'll make the call to the chairman, and then say, can we get on the agenda for that?
Well, you'll also have to follow up with town council to make sure that the wording is proper.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking that on.
Well, no, thank you. No, this is good stuff we're doing here. We're a good team.
Sometimes baby steps,
Many of them fast.
sometimes fast baby steps so you don't fall down.
Yeah. We will.
Okay, thank you. New business, we've been talking about establishing an ad hoc committee for quite some time. We've all been going 1,000 miles an hour and have really not had an opportunity to talk about it in any detail, how we go about doing it, what we would charge them with. I do think that there's some value in doing it, a lot of value in doing it, but is it too soon still? Mr. Rabbit?
Jim, I don't think it's too soon to get a discussion going. I sent some material to you in terms of just this afternoon, the organization chart as well as the work breakdown. And inside that chart, I kind of took an opportunity to identify where I thought we could use some help and we need the help. At the same time, we need the extra eyes, and it would expand our base in which we can communicate to the town. And I came up with 2 routes that we could grab a hold. Let's see, make sure I get the right file. Okay, it's 2 of them, and I didn't put them in there. Okay,
So, the first being that I'm particularly interested in a group of people who will look at our processes and look at the things that are, how well they're going. So I look for a quality continuous improvement team that we can look at some of the ways we're doing things and the procedures and such, and for that matter, conduct independent audits on our processes. Okay?
and I'm sorry, I'm just not good.
Then the other one was Sarah in relationship to the analytics and having them go and start looking at how we could do a better assessment of the sites to cause our accuracy to improve. And there are things that I personally know that I'm not going to say this out loud, Jane will kill me, but I know that we can get a sharper pencil in terms of being more accurate with regard to assuming what the sales price of these homes would be, and we can get a little closer number with regard to our ASRs. And that would mean look at the criteria we're using to assess the homes. And,
So, let me interrupt.
Things like-
So that really sounds like the activity that we paid somebody to do, you wanted to double check it? Is that what you're saying?
In terms of some of the numbers, go through what we've done. In fact, Dave Cassius brought this back, brought up a sideline issue that the more people we have looking at what we're doing and the numbers we're generating, the faster we're going to find it. And at some point, the number's going to get small, but the number will change with me, but let's get them out of the way. Let's discover that thing quickly. The other part of it is the recommendations in terms of how we can make a better forecast of eventual sales price.
You're not- you're not-
and valuation.
Wait, we're not forecasting sales prices.
No,
We're-
you can't.
we
That's
do
not
it-
what we do.
We do it,
Oh, okay, we make an estimate in terms of what we believe the value of the home is, correct?
We do,
Based
based
on
upon
On
the
previous
history of
sales.
sales, yes, go ahead.
Based on the history of sales, based on a pile of variables that could be measured, that could help reduce
Oh.
the speed we're able to throw in
So-
down to something.
so we want
far
to
smaller.
quantify the variables better.
That's, what,
Very
yes, what I think
topics.
Sarah just said, what she summarized, I think, say it again, please.
You want to quantify those variables more concretely.
Yes.
Yep, so factors, defining what the factors are, defining what the range of goodness, badness are. Okay.
Right.
That I think I can support. What I think I heard earlier, I wasn't quite sure where you were going. So if that's what you were trying to say, then that's more,
I
Okay.
don't know. There's on another screen. So I think that there's two groups we could try and you know, and Sarah, you have exceptional skills in terms of doing the analytics. I think that, I know a member of that team. Even if you do leave, you could, not really leave, but you could certainly give us, a better helping hand, and ultimately, we'll get a lot less consternation from the people that.
So-
I gotta say, our contractors and Brian and Rena did most of the analytics on our work this year.
Yeah.
I checked some things, but I appreciate it, but I
Actually,
cannot take credit.
you actually helped kick us off on some stuff, so
Well,
that was
I
a
just
huge start.
just want to say that there's many hands, and I do not have any supreme capacity. And we also have quite a few people in town who are already double-checking things. So it would be fine to have them in a group to be able to have those discussions more quickly.
Right.
And so I could support, thinking about those factors and seeing if there's a way to quantify them better. I'm interested to see how that will be pursued.
Okay. We can help define how that gets pursued. I think that's the point.
Those are just two ideas
Mind if I get a drink?
like that I think are kind of doable.
I'm going to get a drink of water.
Well, just before you leave, was there anything you thought we should do with ad hoc committees? We'll call them ad hoc committees for now. I don't know what to call them, so.
I don't know what to call them. I wish there was a way to actually easily get to like the list of vision cards. Having to do 3 clicks to get to a card annoys me to no end. And when you're trying to compare things back and forth, it is extremely hard.
It's bulky.
Like I started, I looked into making a spreadsheet of the sales, so you could just see the sales and see the vision card and click. I just didn't have enough time in the day. And that, I think, would be really useful to have that every year.
So it sounds like some way to link a spreadsheet to a vision card.
Yeah, with the qualified sales. on
That's
it.
it.
Yeah,
That would be very valuable, I think.
and that might actually help define factors a little bit faster.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that is something that's easily accessible. Well, 3 clicks. But that's easily accessible public data.
Well, right now it's the 3 clicks, but if it's in a spreadsheet and you click on it and it brings up your vision card, that's 1 click.
What I mean is, we don't have to worry about people necessarily being certified assessors to access that information.
Right.
Trying to
It's
quantify them.
It's still public information, so yes,
Yeah.
okay.
trying to quantify the factors better, I don't know.
You could identify
Yeah,
those that might be easier to do, and maybe some that are harder to do, but still doable. So
Yeah.
that's not a bad idea for a group of people to sit down and sort of noodle through, and then do some checking.
yeah.
So, not a bad idea. So we have 3 ideas, I think, for potential ad hoc committees to help us with all the stuff we have to do. Those are good ideas. What do you suggest as a next step, and does anybody have an idea for what we do? Mr. Rabbit?
I would, Sarah, if you have a couple moments, I'll write up a little bit of a white paper in terms of what we think the committee can do, and bring it back to us, and let's add to it, and we'll eventually end up with something that says, okay, this committee is this is their primary vision in terms of what they're pursuing. And so then we can come back and say, okay, who would be a good member for the committee that has the skills and be willing to put the time in?
So can I ask you to do can I ask you something, please? If you're going to write up a white paper for one of those committees, and pick one that you find interesting, then we could use that as a basis for writing up others.
Okay.
For other functions. And in some cases, we will want to have stated beginning and stated end. Some others may last forever. I don't know what that means. But it'd be good if we had sort of a template, if we could agree to a template of how we put it together. So if you could draw something up, that'd be great. I do know that there have been some thoughts that have been shared by some of our non-members about how those committees might work. So if you could factor some of that into your process, that would be great. That would be really helpful. I suspect you won't have time to do it by the next meeting.
Well, James already.
Right, and you're going away, so just give us, once you've had a chance to think about it and maybe get a thought down on paper, give us an idea next time we get together, how long it's going to take you to put it together, and we'll move from there. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Excellent. Wow. Okay, you're dismissed. Sorry. I'm sorry. I made her not get water because I'm a jerk. I'll just wait a second till she comes back.
All this talking is making me dehydrated.
We talked about, the other thing that we should actually include when we talk about all that stuff is the, how we go about answering public questions. I'd like to actually throw something in there. We get questions from the public about a lot of different things. Recently, you shared with us, Mr. Rabbit, a question that you had from someone about 180 South Row Road. Thank you for following up on that and for forwarding it to Rena. I think between between Rena and the tax collector's office, that should be an easy repair for that issue. But I think that brought to mind 2 things that we really ought to set up for policies, and maybe I jumped ahead. I just did, sorry.
It's okay.
Forgive me. We should make sure there's an email at the assessor's office, not one that says Rena, not one that says Sheila or somebody else, but one for the assessor's office. There may be one in existence or not, but if we have an email, then we can tell people to email their stuff to the assessor's office, then it doesn't get lost. It doesn't get shuffled down a pile of papers. And not to say that anybody does that, but it's easy enough to happen when you are doing 65 things. So if we have one assessor's office email, I think we should ask for it. And I don't know if we need to have that as a policy, but it's certainly something I think we should have in place.
I think that's an easy policy, Mr. Chairman. That's a good one. That's a great idea.
Okay.
And basically, we'll collect them, and then we can start hearing what people are asking, and put some stuff out there that makes sure they don't have access. Relatively easy for them to find.
Right,
Right. And we'll know you'll find a lot with regard to the questions. Now, the Q&A section on our website will have that, if they want to write directly into it. But I like the idea of creating this as a separate email. I mean, that's brilliant, Brian. Good job.
Thank you. The second idea that came from this string of emails that I saw that you had with someone, but I don't remember what the person's name, it doesn't matter. But we should direct all inquiries to the office, be it Rena's email or assessor's email or someplace, along with instructions that future issues and follow-up should be directed there, because I get questions, I send them to Rena, we start to get an answer, then I get another question, or you get another question, or you get another question, and Rena's not in the loop. So the assessor's office doesn't know anything except what we forward to the assessor's office. So I would suggest that we have a policy that any of that stuff, once we've directed it to the assessor's office, we won't follow up on it. You need to contact the assessor's office for that item. It's one way to keep us from having us as the board, from having to triage future communications. Once we've had a communication from somebody, then we've directed it to the right place. I can't answer your question. Did you get an answer from the place that you were supposed to direct your question? So it's just it's a way to control it, I think, a little bit better. So, yes, Mr. Rabbit.
Mr. Chairman, one of the things that, is that we write back to them and say, hey, for a good time, Paulina should get you all the answers, she'll do a really good job. Should we create some sort of dialogue that says we've got we have an inquiry, and we want to be able to close that out, keep such that we can monitor, make sure that the people are getting their answers?
So,
Closed.
If we were to all have access to this assessor's email, we would see the questions that come in, and when they are solved, we put them in the solved folder. And we can go back to that folder and make a log for it, no problem. We can also leave the ones that are still active and say, this is our active list of questions or issues. So we could easily do a log from that too. So part of the thought process here was you don't have to lose track of stuff. And there's an easy way to figure out how to go about tracking it. So it was an idea that occurred to me as I was reading your follow-up from the follow-up on some messages that started back in December and sales that were done God knows when, and a new question in February, and wait a minute. So there was that. I actually didn't know what your response to the original December email was. Did you send that individual to Rena?
Which one, who was that?
It was 180 South Row Road. I don't know if it was a Tom or a Mike or somebody. It was a regular name, I don't even know who it was.
I haven't.
Okay, that's fine.
Rena, did you get a chance, man?
I don't know if I've dealt with anything on
South
180.
Road?
It's not familiar.
Right. So and maybe the reason, I know what it was. Change of ownership, the tax bills were going to the wrong place or something, and somebody wasn't sure if the tax bill was actually paid because they may have been mailed to the wrong place. It was, but it's one of those, that's the kind of thing that you could go into the assessor's email box, get an answer, be done, and then not have to worry about it again, so.
Right.
I won't necessarily go through the particulars of any communication like that, but it was one of those very natural question. It's possible that, you said something like, we could pursue the appropriate remedy for our processes, but it isn't necessarily our processes. It may be that they failed to communicate with us about changes. So I don't want to always fall on our sword that it's our process.
And also, if it's a tax bill, and they were the owner on January 1st, that tax bill has to go to the owner as
Yep.
of January 1st.
Yep. So,
And if
so,
they've moved or sold the property,
right.
this...
So
this-
I was a little concerned, just concerned about us falling on our sword when we probably didn't have to in that one, because I don't think we did anything wrong, and I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with our process, so maybe there was, but likely there wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So those are the two things that I came up with for processes, and I think that those would actually make sense, and we could use that to actually feed into the, create a log. Do we need to write policies for next time like this and vote on them, so we have policies to put into our policy book?
Yeah, we should write a policy and say this is our policy, and Brian, we're not gonna always be here.
Well, no, but if the policy is there for our, what is, it's not ancestors, what is it?
Posterity.
Progeny?
Those who follow.
Those who follow.
The next generation of assessors.
Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. We're going to talk about future Zoom session with, and I put down, we had Nate before and was suggested that perhaps we have one with Mike. And as I said, I don't think it's anywhere in his contract to sit down with the public, but,
You're talking about Mike Torello?
Yeah.
yeah.
So what did you want, a future Zoom with him?
Well, no, there was, when we met last time, we talked about following up on the public Q&A with Nate, and then there was a suggestion that maybe we should do the same thing or something similar, or instead, with Mike. I don't know if we can, number one, because I don't think it's in his contract.
And he's already moved on to his next community. so-
Right. So I don't want to set false expectations that we might, that it would be likely that we do that. I don't know it's likely. We could potentially ask the question, but I don't know we're going to get a positive answer. So, I don't know what to do with that, other than just, go ahead.
How about we ask and see where it lands?
It may land on deaf ears, but, yep. Or, yeah. Okay. Mr. Rabbit, you talked about workday breakdown structure, so I think you've talked about that a couple times. Is there something more we need to say today?
Not particularly on the work breakdown structure. One of the pieces I failed to bring up was the function of the exemptions on 41, and that you don't necessarily have to wait. And I looked at all the other exemptions, and with regard to some assessors may accept applications before the actual bills are mailed. If not, your application is not approved, you must apply for deadlines. It seems to be that we have the option to start accepting applications, exemption applications, before the tax bill comes out. And that would, by putting the word out, we're going to get those 19 people reminded at least that they should. And at the same time, we can keep some other people up. So I'm just thinking that we might want
There's dates in
to vote to accept applications prior to the tax bill being mailed.
accepted prior.
Exemption applications.
I'm sorry, Rena, you started to say something?
Well, there are some dates in the year's DLS calendar on when you accept them, when they have to be in by. So we do have to follow those guidelines, so.
No
Yes,
way.
but according to the, I get it. According to the, actually, this was read to me by two different people, that we have the option of opening up for applications sooner. So, and I believe that's what, thank you, Jack.
Here it is.
Thank you, Jack. Just
Sorry.
tell us what the, where it is in the rules, but that's okay. We could just, you have it right in front of you, would you mind reading it off?
Yes, I'm sorry, I just did. For items into everyone. Basically, comment number 2. Some assessors may accept applications before actual tax bills are mailed. If not, your application is not approved, you must apply this deadline. You must apply by this deadline to claim the deferral. Meaning that we can open it up and start accepting them early. If we decide to. Some accepted assessors may accept applications before tax bills are mailed.
So, it's something we probably should talk about. It's a little bit dangerous in that you may be presetting expectations for people that you will then have to disappoint if it does not pass at town meeting. And many of those people may be counting on that because they applied last year or they never applied before and you promised this to me. So I'm a little concerned about disappointing taxpayers who thought they were going to get a tax break and wound up not.
Yeah, we have 19, we're a little late getting out there, but we have 19 people who applied last year.
Yep.
We're going to accept them. That'll help lessen our load as well. On the 25th, we're certainly going to urge people to think about it and start getting ready for their exemptions. And I'm not specifically talking to 42 or anything else. On the deferrals, certainly the deferrals are a possibility if they decide to go with it. So there's one of them that might be in the air. If we have to go back and say, the town didn't approve it, well then guess what? The town didn't approve it.
So the only applications we could accept, I think, would be for the reduced age on the exemptions. If we try to do anything else beyond that, we would not be accepting applications against any accepted law or guideline.
Well, it does say here, these are accepted. The deferral.
Not in our town.
They've all been accepted. I believe that they're all legitimate. It's just that they've not been attractive enough to get anybody to go play with them. Am I wrong, Rita?
I do not know what's been legally accepted at town meeting by this, they're supposed to be accepted at town meeting. I don't know what has been.
What actually has been.
What actually has been. That's been in place.
So we would have to do some research on if that's all been accepted at a town meeting. The only one I was really talking about was if we were to accept applications for the reduction in age from 70 to 65, should we accept some of those applications now?
I would not want to.
It's just an option, and it's something we could do.
I understand why we would consider it, but I wouldn't want someone who's 65 going through the trouble of filling it out, expecting to get it, and then maybe not getting it because of town meeting.
Right.
I don't want anybody going through that effort. It's a lot of work to provide all that documentation. And I don't want them gathering it and turning it in and all of that before there's actually a vote on it.
So the other thing we could do is accept some of the current crop.
Those
early.
people are currently eligible for, I would.
If they're already eligible, we
I would
could accept
consider.
theirs early.
Yeah.
And it does say on every one of the applications, must be filed with the Board of Assessors on or before April 1st. So those.
Or before, so we can accept them
On or
early.
before April 1st. So we will, or somebody this summer will get these ready, the blank applications, send them out to all the different exemptions, and then they have till April 1st to get them back to us.
That's how many days away? Today is the 4th, it's 26
No,
days.
this is for, we already have everybody for 24. This is for fiscal 25. We have to send them out in the early summer, and then they have till April to get them back to us for fiscal 25.
So essentially, there's no reason to ask for them ahead of time because it really doesn't affect them until essentially, really, next year.
Next year.
Right.
Because it wouldn't be accepted at town meeting until May. That means it would go into effect thereafter.
Extension, 3 months. I understand the 41, but I thought on the others, they could almost, oh, they, there's another one. That they could file for a request after each quarter to
File
participate.
after each quarter, no.
For, a request for what?
To participate.
In what?
In terms of asking for, whether it's the deferral or any of the other exemptions. But there's a whole pile of criteria. Have we ever had any that come in and said, okay, they filed in the second quarter?
No, you have to file by April 1st, and they don't get put on the exemption until the January bill.
The following year.
If I could read something, you must file an application each fiscal year with the assessors in the city or town where the property is located. The application is due April 1, or 3 months after the actual tax bills are made. Or it's later, filing times is required. So does that mean that, or 3 months after the actual tax bills are mailed? I'm gonna go in the application, in the application section. You too can enjoy the world of COVID. Is that what that means here?
We have all our applications in for '24. These will be put on the tax bills, the actual tax bills that are going out in March. Now, this summer, we will send out applications to everybody, and they will be filing for fiscal '25. And again, they have to be back by April 1st, and they will be on the actual bill, which hopefully next year will be January 1st.
So
I can all concur on that one.
I'm still struggling with that, and it's okay.
What?
The application is due April
Which-
1, or 3 months after the actual tax bills are mailed,
We've heard that.
whichever was later.
Right. This year, we mailed the tax bills late.
Right.
The third quarter was estimated. So
Yeah.
technically, we have until 3 months from that date to get these applications for fiscal '24 processed.
Right. And the tax bills that are going out are basically the
Actual.
last bill of the year.
This year it is. Most
Yeah.
years it's the last half. This year it's the last quarter.
Last quarter. So, if they put it in for that, and it says that the following time, the application is, or 3 months after the actual tax bills are mailed. And that, isn't that every quarter?
Not every quarter, no.
No.
We need to get an interpretation on that. As far as I can tell right now, it doesn't appear that
Yeah.
means that they could file as late as July for '24, because '24 is over.
They will be filing this summer for fiscal '25, and those applications must be returned by April 1st for '25.
Right.
These are '24.
So we're going to need to do some more, Jack, if you're reading that differently because it says after the tax bill, so we need to do some more research on exactly what that means, because right now, it looks like, I think, we don't accept any applications. '24 is essentially done,
24 is done.
and '25, we aren't there yet, so
Yeah.
we don't need to take the applications until summer. So, Well, you may ask the question of the DOR, I think. What is the implication of that phrase in that rule? What is that a chapter or a verse, or what is that?
I have to go dig that, listen, I'm just.
Well, just go back a couple pages and tell me where that is what code it is.
Okay. That is basically page 4, information, please contact your local assessors. Yeah, that's us. Last time I checked. Anyway,
Page 4 of what, what document?
Local property, taxpayer's guide to local property tax deferrals, seniors, clause 41A.
Okay.
40, wait a minute. Are you
So-
just talking about 41?
Is that, Jack, excuse me,
Yeah.
Mr. Rabbit, is that 41A?
That was 41A. and-
Well,
and-
we don't,
We don't have anybody doing that right now.
Okay, and I'm gonna go to 41B, 41C, and 41C and a half, and then
We
in the
have
same
41C.
last page, some assessors may accept applications.
We have 41C, Jack.
yeah, he's talking about 41C now, finally, I think.
And 41C says that some assessors may accept applications before actual tax bills are mailed. If not, your application is not approved, you must approve this, apply for the deadline to claim the exception.
So, take that, no, don't show it, we can't read it.
Okay.
We are already accepting them ahead, I think, but if you want
If
to.
they're due by April 1st, you are accepting them before
Ahead
the
of-
tax bills are made.
I
Yeah.
got it. If you want clarity on that, you might want to call the Department of Revenue and reference the specific document that you're talking about and ask them what that means, because as we read it, we think we're already sending out the applications early
We send them out in the summer,
for April.
and
Of
then
the
you are
following year,
accepting them
yeah.
before.
Okay, I'll certainly do that.
Because otherwise, we're all going to try to interpret something we don't necessarily know what the context is, and it doesn't really do
And
us
you,
any good.
and he might want to contact DLS,
Oh, yep,
not
DLS?
Becky.
Not Becky. What's his
Because
name?
she's a field.
Let Beck,
Who's the guy down in Worcester? Is it somebody in Worcester?
Oh, no, you want to get the Bureau of Local Services, not the Bureau, which is
Not Department of
us,
Revenue, yep,
But you want to,
yep.
Chris,
Chris?
contact Chris Wilcox. He's the,
Yeah.
he's the head of, he's the chief.
Did you catch that name, Mr. Rabbit? Chris Wilcox.
good job.
I might even have his phone number on my phone. Maybe. Let me check.
Okay.
If I don't, we can dig that up for you tomorrow.
Yeah, he's out of Worcester,
I think he's,
No, he's in Boston.
Boston. We'll do that.
thank you. Thank you. Anybody have anything else before I move on? No? Thank you. Upcoming meetings. As we know, we are meeting March 12th. We will have to post that meeting with a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen.
Yes, each has to post their own meeting.
They get to post their own, yes. We should ask them for the classification hearing, and then we also wanted to ask them about something, about the warrant article.
Okay.
I will attempt to put that on the agenda, see if they're receptive.
I guess we would present the warrant to them for approval.
You'd present the warrant article,
The article, not the warrant.
Yeah.
it's the warrant article, yeah. Yeah. And then our next meeting is regular meeting is March 18th here. We've reserved this room. I don't know what we want to do as we head beyond that. April 1st, do we want to start getting out of April 1st, 15th, and 29th, or something else?
Mr. Chair, I won't be here for the 1st of April.
Thank you.
Those dates work fine for me.
So we may have the meeting without you, and we may have to go through some short things.
I might be able to get a Zoom in, but I don't know.
Okay. So 4/1, 4/15, and potentially 4/29, that would be our third meeting of that given month. Okay, thank you. We will be going into executive session, so I want to call for any public closing comments. Anything from the public? Ouch.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Mr. Passios just started talking.
You mind? Okay, Mr. Passios, I didn't see your hand up. If you could, go ahead.
No, actually, it wasn't. I thought you were waiting for public comment, so I was going to say I'm all set.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry.
Is there anyone else on Zoom who's looking to speak at this point?
No.
Seeing none, we will have our local representatives.
Good evening. Carl Luck, 50 Sunset Lane. Thank you very much.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the discussion earlier about the questions and having Mike from Vision back in or not. And I appreciate you not, giving up on that, although it sounded like you're getting close to giving up. But what surprised me about it was that, Mike, from the very first time he came in quite a while ago, really impressed upon the importance of getting public input and feedback and so forth. And then the last time he was here, not the time on Zoom, but the time he was physically here, and there were mention of questions from the public, and he was very supportive that, yes, it's very important to get the public and have their answers. Now, what he did say, which made sense, though, I support, was that the question should go to the board first, and then to him so that he could prepare, which makes a lot of sense. So I would be very disappointed if when you go back to him, he says, no, sorry, it wasn't in my contract. It didn't sound like that's something he would say. So I'm just looking forward to going back one last chance. I don't know that he even physically has to be here, but getting questions to him in advance that he could prepare the answers to and then make us aware. I don't think it's too much to ask, and is consistent with what the message he kept sending. So I applaud your efforts and hope for success.
Thank you.
I don't think Mike would say it's not in my contract.
No, well,
I think right now it depends on how many other communities, and you know what he gave us for, how he worked here. He was on the phone with one of us almost every day. So I just don't know. I know he has been to Leominster for their breakout meeting, the first initial meeting with their Department of Revenue rep and Mike to get the process started. So I just don't know how, we could ask him, I don't know how busy he is. It depends on how many communities he's working on this year for 25.
And I didn't want it to sound like he threw up a roadblock. I was just concerned that it's not in his contract, and would he be able to be receptive to that? So it wasn't that he was throwing up I probably gave that impression, and I apologize for that.
And I don't think Mike would be one to say, well, I'm not going to do that, it's not in my contract. But knowing how on a daily basis, starting with us, how much time, I just don't know how many communities he has right now, and I'm sure if he could fit us on, he would, even if it was just on a Zoom meeting at night. But we could certainly ask.
Perfect. Thank you, and thank you. Any public comment, closing comments from the board? Ms. Camer?
I don't have anything else to say.
Nothing to say? Mr. Rabbit?
Nothing to say in good meeting, Brian, thank you.
Thank you, thanks very much. We will have to entertain a motion to move into executive session, and we'll have to basically shut down everyone but Mr. Rabbit, if we can do that.
I can make sure
But we need to make the motion first in public meeting. Oh, there's this,
So, I motion do you want me to read that?
Sure,
I
you
can't
want?
have as many alphabet letters in
we
there.
don't have nearly as many as those.
And unique symbols.
So I think you start there and say, make the motion, and then flip it over.
I motion we go into executive session, not to return to open session after executive session under purpose 7, to comply with or act under the authority of any general or special law or federal grant requirements. And applications for abatement or exemption under this chapter shall, except in proceedings before the county commissioners, the appellate tax board, or a court of the Commonwealth, be open only to the inspection of the assessors, the commissioner, the deputies, clerks, and assistants of either the assessors or the commissioner, and such other officials or designated private auditors of the Commonwealth. Chapter 59, Section 60 of MGL is the law being cited.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
I believe we have to do this. Roll call? Roll call?
John Rabbit, second.
Aye.
Brian
Sarah
LaFond and Sarah Kim. So we are moving into executive session. We need to shut off anyone who's not Jack. Bye, everyone.
Recording stopped.